In this video I'm going to show you exactly how I fitted this beautiful stable door, all the tricks of the trade, how to get it working like a dream, and having to cut it down, what?
It's not always perfect.
But first we need to take the old door out. Come on boys, let's do this!
On paper you'd think it's just a case of unscrewing the door. We've got the concrete fixings in, but if you're in the trade you know that sometimes they're a bit hard to get out. So we'll have a go and we'll see how easy they are. Yeah, just what I thought. When they're screwed into the brick, they get rusty over time, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue with this job. I've just lost my bit. So what's happening is, over the years, it's getting rusty inside the brick, and the drill just isn't strong enough to wind the bolts out. The bolt actually creates its own thread inside the brickwork. So even though these bolts are solid, they don't want to come out. See that there now? Crack the weld straight through. Make sure you clean through on both sides. Do that on all four corners. That's the weak point on any plastic frame, whether it's a door or a window. They never put the reinforcing into the weld. It's coming. See, that head's pretty goddamn loose. Tap that. Sure that wire doesn't come with it. Stuck with loads of decorators caught that wire. There you go. Come on, baby. Proper stuck that wire in. We love it. Right, top's out. My God. Bottom's out. This is the jalfrezi now. We can get in with the bar, the flat bar, and start prising it away from the brickwork. It'll probably pop the frame away from the bolts, and the bolts will actually stay in the brick.
What's it for? Just put it there for now.
Put it there for now. Alright, on it. Woo! I've actually used black silicone taped up with masking tape against the frame, so I think that's what I'm going to have to do, just because that window's obviously been done down the side there, nice and neat. It's not how we normally do it. We usually seal it with stick, but we're not scared. We'll do it that way. You see me currently hanging off a fence post at the minute, so I'm hoping that stays there. So we've got the door out, we're all cleaned off. I'm ready to cut the sill, but before I cut the sill we just need to make sure that it's all plumb in the opening. So especially when you go in against a window like this or a side panel, we're not replacing the window obviously, so we need to make sure that that's plumb back to front and left to right. It's absolutely bob on, so that's important because we always start on the hinge side, get that plumb and level bolted, and then check the door for twist, get that plumb and fix that side. But if we did that first without checking that, you're going to end up having a problem. You'd have to start moving the window. That's not what we want to do ideally. So luckily for me, that's bang on. If it's plumb that way against the plaster, we know that when we come to cut the sill, we know that it'll be tight back to the brick. So as you can see, this window is horned around the brick, so we want to match that with the door sill. If I didn't check that that was plumb first, and we'd have to kick the bottom out for whatever reason to get it plumb, you'd end up with a gap where it's pulled away from the brick. You want it nice and tight like that ideally. Let me just check the brickwork roughly to make sure it's not a mile out, and it's not too bad. So all I'm going to do is just get my sill, find out I've no pencil in my pocket, so I'll have to go to the van and get one. Got my pencil. Pretty good that editing, isn't it? Pretty good. Don't want to watch me trying to find a pencil for 10 minutes. So put it back to the plaster there, mark the edge of the brick, flip the sill, same on this side. And then what we want to do is just put one side up to the brick there, let the other side fly past, and just literally mark the edge of the brick. Get your tape if you've got one. I've actually got one, that's alright. And all we want to do is split the difference. It's usually between 100mm and 90mm. This one's 90mm, so we've got a bit of play on the door. So that's 45mm either side there. Strike them through with saw or a square. Doesn't have to be out fancy. As long as you cut it straight, that's main jolly. Then you can cut that. It'll be your first timer, boys. It'll be your first timer, boys.
you do them units, but I'll just form that door. Tell me to do them units in Porsche while I'm there.
I'll tell you what you can do.
Come on.
Put kettle on. He said we can. Look at that, we're nice and tight there, aren't we?
What were you head to take us before that one?
Yeah, I don't think he trusts us with a normal cup. Through a spell of breaking the customers' cups, keep kicking them over, so we get given metal ones now. Obviously this bit is a must, especially on a door like this, because there's no chance of getting underneath with a silicone gun afterwards. So I just come roughly about 10 or 15 mil away from the edge of the brick, and then once we've squished it down, it'll just work its way to the edge of the brick. It'll be all nice and sealed in. Now I've already measured this once, and you're going to think I'm making this up, but I did actually measure this door at 2 meters 90, and it's come at 2 meters 95. We'll have to cut the ribs on the door to get it in on the top there. It's a good job you get them ribs. That's what them ribs are for, to be truthful. You get that bit of clearance, 5mm clearance. When I measured the door, the plan was to get it as tight up to the lintel as I can to match in with the window at the side. It's come at 2 meters 95, the door. Measured it too tight, but no, it actually has. So I'll scoot round here and I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see here, you've got ribs, and they are actually 5mm. So on the top of the door, I'll cut them off, and then the door will fit. It's actually upside down at the minute, that door, so I have to flip that over and cut the ribs off the top. So we're sorted there now. You can see, cut the ribs down best I can. Probably would have gone without doing this, but I like to have a 10mm clearance on the width and the height of the door, just in case we need to pick it up any. And to me, I think it might have just been a bit too snug without doing that, so better to be safe than sorry. That should give us a bit more leeway sliding that end in first. Well, that sill, make sure there's no backtracking, and then a big juicy line down the centre. I'm a bit quick on this because my battery's running out on my camera. I've not got any spares, so we've got the door in place. The first job is I've clamped the door frame to the window frame, because we need to make sure that that's tight up. We can screw that up at any point. It doesn't really matter at this point. Just make sure that it's tight up to that window. Then we can screw to the sill. So normally I'd make it even Steven, side to side. I'd even it out with Packers, but in this case we want it tight up to there. So once that's tight up to the window, we can bang the level up the side there. We know it's level across the bottom, and we're just checking it for plumb left to right. That's the first job. We know it's plumb back to front when it's back to plaster as well, but we always do the left to right first. And once we know we're happy with that, we can screw that down to the sill. So I'm going to fire some pan heads. I like to call them pan heads, 70mm self-tapping screws with a domed head. They'll just fire through into the sill, 3 of them bad boys. We'll screw that into place, and then we'll fire a fixing above and below each hinge on the hinge side of the door. So we're going to do that, and we're going to pack behind each hinge as well to stop the door from bellying. We don't want it bellying or squashing. We want it nice and straight with the level, and we can keep checking that as we're going. As we're bolting it, we can just keep checking that there's no gap between the level and the door frame. Like I say, clamped up, that's nice and tight to the window, so we know we don't have to worry about that. And all I've done is plumb up the side of the door, left to right, which works out at a blue Packer 5mm. Once that's done, we can screw the frame to the sill, because then we know it's right, left to right. Just making sure it's tight up to the lip at sill there. So that's screwed up. I can plumb this side up in a minute. But like I say, it's not so far off there. Let's stitch this window to the door, and we know we don't have to worry about that. The next job is get this hinge side right. If I put the level on there, ever so slight packing out away from the plaster, but it's something or nothing. And we know about that left to right, don't we? Just pack in behind each hinge before carry on with the fixing, because we don't want to bore this frame out. Where it sits is bang on. When I'm fixing a door, I always fix the bottom first, make sure it's tight back, and then I'm just going to go below that hinge and into the brickwork. I'm using a 6.5 SDS bit, and the concrete fixings are 120mm long concrete fixings. Once that bottom's bolted, I do the top one, and then I know it's not going anywhere. Just above that hinge there. And then the last one's going to be in the middle. For now, just put one in the middle. Once I've fitted this one in the middle, I can check the door. Take the prop out underneath the door and check it. Switch that wire. So now I can check the spacing around the door frame. That black brush, that needs to be even all the way around, so you can see it's definitely running out there. So we'll have to have a bit of a play with hinges after. You can see the bottom of the stable door at the bottom door is actually further this way than the top of it. So we'll have to have a mess about with that as well, make them nice and flush. So I'll finish bolting it and then I'll show you how we adjust this stable door, make it work sweet as a nut. Another thing we need to check is for twist. So when you pull the door to, just leave about a 5mm gap and eye that gap in all the way down. It's actually curling away on the corners. So that's telling me that this needs pulling out a bit in the middle. So what I'm going to have to do is cut the silicone underneath the window here and cut the silicone on the inside and pack behind this windowsill against the window, just to push the middle of the frame out a little bit in the middle. So it's something nothing really, but this is what you've got to check for really. That's why we check for twist. Even with things that are plumb, you still might get that sort of problem. I've basically cut the inside and under the sill of this window, so I can just push it out slightly. Just give that a gentle tap, and we'll just stick a packer behind there. Try 5mm for now, and take it from there. You can also check it with level as well. And that looks pretty groovy there. We're all fixed, all the fixings are in, all the screws are in. We're all bolted up that wing as well. I couldn't get one as high up as I wanted because of this plate, so I've just had to go just below the plate. But I have put another fixing downwards before we put that glass back in, and that'll sturdy things up. Let's have a look at the hinge, what we're dealing with. Pretty standard stuff. We'll get set up and I'll show you how we adjust them. 4mm Allen key, like this. In your drill, Phillips bit in it, and then you can see these two screws here. Just need to loosen them off gently. Don't want to mush the head on these. So that door's flung back, and you're just loosening them two screws up, and then what you can do is get your Allen key to move it over. You can quite clearly see that this door, the top of the door, wants to go that way, so we're going to do that first. So I'm going to twist it. As you can see, while I'm doing that, it's moving the door over. Tighten that up so it's somewhat like flush with that. Might have to adjust the other one yet, so we don't want to go too crazy. We'll just keep checking it. Just keep checking it as we're going. Loads of play on these hinges, absolutely loads. You can't really go wrong. That's nice and flush there now. That. See, that top door looks bang on up the side there. When it's shut to, it looks bang on down that side and across the top. Looks even as well, which it should do. If your door's level, then that should be even, that gap across the top. So again, it's low, it's too tight to the hinge side at the bottom, so we're going to do the same again. Wind that over. Like I say, it's not rocket science. Just loosen the screws, don't loosen them too much, and then just do a bit at a time. Wind it up, make sure it's going that way, away from the hinge, which it is. And I'm going to give that some juicy turns there. Needs a little bit more that way, but you get the gist of it. I'll keep playing around with it until it's absolutely bang on. So we're happy with that. Both door leaves are flush with each other where they meet in the middle. So now, how do we separate the stable door? Well, basically, you just make sure that this is locked, which is a thumb turn, and this is unlocked. It just opens just like that. Nice and easy. Lift the handle up, turn the key, locks like a dream. If you want it back as a door, just undo that. Beautiful, beautiful. It's a nice door, that. Chartwell green, slab, white outer frame. Well, like I say, I'm running out of battery on my camera. That's how you fit and adjust a stable door. If this video has helped you in any way, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe.